What's up, guys? Mr. Fit to Flourish, and today I wanted to talk about stocks that you can use to trade options. And then I'm going to have another video where I talk about stocks that you can use to invest in. Okay, and there's a difference with stocks that you trade options. You want them to be pretty volatile so that you can make a pretty good gain pretty quickly. So let's get right into it. I'm going to just show a couple of factors, some of the most important factors that you need to look at when trading or finding stocks to trade options. Okay. So essentially, stocks that you can use to trade options on. I had a question about, hey, what indicators do you use? It's not really any indicators. These are just parameters that you need to look at. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just show you what stocks you can use and that are the best to trade options on. So a couple stocks I would trade options on would be Apple, MSTR, Nvidia, Tesla, SPY, with SPY and Nvidia probably being the top two, with QQQ in the top three, IWM in there as well. You can trade options on PLTR, Amazon, Microsoft. And I would say those would be like the top ones, especially for beginners. But the top ones really for beginners, I would say SPY. You can also do SPX, the actual index. And then there's QQQ, IWM, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple. What else did we say? Did I miss any? Those are fine. But really, these are the main ones that you kind of want to pay attention to in terms of options and trading options. Now, what are some of the parameters that you need to look for when trading options? So this is stocks to use to trade options. What are the parameters? All right. Number one, it needs to be a high volume stock. Okay. And when I say high volume, it needs to be high volume in terms of the equity. So the amount of shares traded per day needs to be over 1 million at least, at the very least. So a lot of the stocks I mentioned, those parameters are automatically met because they're trading at volumes of 50 million to 100 million per day. So very heavy volume. But you really need a volume of at least 1 million or more. Okay, so 1 mil shares traded or more. And then obviously you're gonna want high options volume on reasonable strikes. So you can look into that yourself or look into that later. I'm not going to explain that. All right. But it needs to have high options volume as well. All right. What else do these stocks need to have? What is the criteria? Well, they need to be high volatility. So a lot of this high stuff. So high volatility. And why does it need high volatility? Because options move in terms of like every dollar that the underlying, so every dollar that your shares are moving in either direction. And most people just know how to go long, how to get calls. So let's say your stock is moving up. Okay. So if your stock is moving up $1, for every dollar that your stock moves, your option contract is going to gain value. Okay. And we're talking about calls. Okay. So there are some stocks that just don't move and they just go sideways for a very long time. Well, options are wasting assets. Okay. So options are wasting assets. Wasting assets. So if your shares aren't gaining value, then your options definitely are losing value because of what's called theta decay. Okay, theta decay. So you want high volatility, aka a pretty good beta. And all beta is it tells you how much a stock moves relative to the S&P 500. Okay. So the S&P 500 would be a beta of 1, and then a stock with a higher volatility would be something like Tesla with a beta of like 1.8 or 2. So it moves 2 times as much as the S&P 500 day to day. Okay. The average daily range, the average daily moves. Okay. So you want something with a good average daily range, average daily moves. So ADR or ATR, average true ranges, average daily ranges. Okay. That's another thing to look at. Some other stocks that you might want to trade options are what's called stocks that are in play. And then that is quote unquote in play. What does that mean? What the freak is in play? So if something is in play, that means that it's like it's everyone's eyes is on that thing. Like it's in play, basically. Like a ball is in play. Like instead of stopping, it's in play. Okay, what does that mean? So basically, things that are, or sectors that are booming. So for instance, currently AI, or sectors or technologies, or just things in general that are booming. So currently tech, AI is booming in this day and age of 2025. We had crypto booming for a while. So then you would want to trade something like MSTR or COIN, or what was the other one? I forgot what it's called. It's in here. It's in here somewhere. Crypto. I think I knocked it out because it was so trash. But the stock was so trash. But anyways, things that are in play. So if crypto is like a big thing in the news, then it's an in-play stock. So anything dealing with crypto would be in play for options, as long as it meets these criteria: high volatility, high options volume, high volume. And then, so that would be something like MSTR or coin. But if we're talking about something, if we're saying chips are in play currently, chip stocks, then we would look at something like MU, we would look at ARM, something like NVIDIA, Schmidia, and then even chip/technology ETFs, okay, exchange traded funds or indices. So something like SOXL. Right. So this is like the basic stuff that you kind of want to use to choose stocks to trade options on. And then you can also trade options on, and right now we're talking about just going long calls and long puts. You can do different strategies, especially for stocks that don't move. You can do spreads, credit spreads, debit spreads, all that good type of stuff. But really, most people who are starting trading just know how to go long calls, long puts. And then even if you want to try selling calls and selling puts, covered calls, covered puts, you can do that on these stocks as well. But really, you could use those for equities that you have hundreds of shares on, or things that you own. But really, this is just for going long calls and long puts. Okay, so just kind of think about some of this stuff when you're getting into options. I showed you some stocks to trade options on, and this is pretty much a comprehensive list of some of the stocks that I trade options on. Things that are in play, things that are having upcoming earnings or massive moves, sectors, different sectors that deal with chips, AI, technology, crypto, etc. So pretty comprehensive, and that's kind of how you want to think about it when you are trading options. And then I'm going to make a video on what stocks and how to choose stocks to purchase for the long term, which deals more with fundamentals. And then you can look at technicals too, but fundamentals and the underlying things of a company, like their CEO, their executive board, how well known the company is, etc., etc. It's your boy, Mr. Fit to Flourish, and I'm out. Good morning, welcome to the Fit to Flourish podcast. Let's talk wellness, finance, and growth.